On the outskirts of Knoxville, Tennessee, amidst the lush green of the South, lives Janice and Steve Petroni. Their house once belonged to Virginia Thompson, Janice's mother, who passed away in early 2022.
My mother was just a special little lady. She had an outgoing personality, hardworking, loved to cook, just fun to be around. I think everybody feels like their mom's the best, and so I try to be more like her and make her proud of me every day. Well, when I first thought about retiring, it seemed like, are you kidding me? Is it really the time? But I first learned about Physicians Mutual many, many years ago because my mom and dad chose Physicians Mutual for their supplemental, as well as my father took out a long-term care policy for both of them. It worked very well for them, and that was the route that I wanted to take. As an only child, I felt it was my privilege and my duty to take the very best care of my mom and dad that I could.
In time, Janice's father passed away and her mother developed dementia. Janice was connected with Cindy Sage in claims for her family's insurance needs.
When it became apparent that I was going to have to move my mother from a memory care to the nursing home, Cindy was right there with me along the way. In fact, I can relate. My mother was in assisted living and all through COVID. And during COVID, as many people across the country, their memory care or their assisted livings where their loved ones were shut down. Although I knew that they had to do it and I was fine with that process, I knew that I didn't have a lot of time with Mother and I wanted to be with her. Being an only child, I had to be with my mom. And so, as I was leaving the nursing home that day, I did have a question that I needed to ask Cindy, and I called her and I couldn't help but get upset. And she was so lovely and so kind and caring and sympathetic. And when I told her that I didn't have a lot of time left with my mother and I might not be seeing her again, she just made me feel so much better in a time of terrible stress for me. As it was, 2 days later, my mother did pass away. I was with her, so that was the beauty of her passing. I did call Cindy, and before Cindy answered the phone, and before I could even say a word, Cindy said, "Janice, I am so terribly sorry about your mom." Which I said, "Cindy, how did you know?" And she said, "Well, when I talked to you the other day," she said, "I kept posted about your mom." That just touched my heart so that she had taken the time to even remember my mom, let alone see our story. I said, "Cindy, I hate not to be calling you anymore because I've developed such a friendship with you that I consider you my dear friend." How many people in your course of insurance business that you get that close and attached to someone you've never even laid eyes on, but just by your phone calls? And so I think that speaks volume of the caring that Physicians Mutual employees have for people like me.
But it doesn't end there. Touched by her connection with this customer, Cindy nominated Janice for Physicians Mutual's Giving Cheer project. Within a few weeks, a package arrived on Janice's doorstep.
And it had my name on it from Physicians Mutual, and I could not imagine what that could possibly be. So as I opened the card, it is a handwritten note, beautifully expressing their condolences and sympathy. At the end, I find it's written by Mr. Reed, who is the president and CEO of Physicians Mutual. I couldn't help but break down in tears, thinking that he would take the time to write me a handwritten note. I was so appreciative, and I knew that Cindy had been the one to tell him of my journey. And you can imagine how much this cheered me up. And I thought my mother would be so proud. This big organization, little me, I'm not forgotten that I'm, one of the ones that they treat like this all over. So Physicians Mutual and my relationship means a whole lot to me. I just love y'all.